Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mistborn Discussion. This is my first book club discussion ever, so it's not going to be great,
It's gonna
but
be
we will
great.
just go with it. I tried to think of some good questions, and I have my lovely host here with me who graciously accepted to join this very large book, which Yvette is used to, but Leah, I'm sure loved every second of it.
Yep. I was questioning your sanity a little bit.
So I'm going to have them go ahead and introduce themselves and their channels or their Instagrams and what they like to read.
Oh yeah, because Yvette hasn't made a channel yet. Good.
My first subscriber is right here.
I
know. I'm
First,
just getting you some fandom for your new channel.
Yeah. Well, hi everybody. My name's Yvette, and I'm Leavers Adores on Instagram. I read mostly romance and fantasy pretty well, almost like neck and neck throughout the year and everything, and then just a little bit of thriller and stuff like that thrown in there every once in a while.
That's awesome. Well, hi everybody. I am Leah, and on Instagram and YouTube, it's Leah Beth Book Time. And I typically read also romance, a little bit of fantasy. I would say for fantasy, I'm more so like romantasy. This book had almost 0% of that. I mean, there was a little bit, but we'll get to that. And yeah, I typically like those are probably like my main things. Mystery I used to be into, but not so much anymore. This is my second Brandon Sanderson, probably my last because I'm just not smart enough. But it was, it was a wild ride. It's been fun. I actually feel good about myself that I completed it, and I feel like smart until we discuss it, and then I'm going to feel dumb.
No, you're not. It's easy to forget. Well, if you don't know, my name is Wendy, and my book club is on Fable. If you are kind of just joining and not sure what's going on, this will contain spoilers, so do not stay if you have not read Mistborn. But yes, I do have my book club on Fable, and every other month I will be switching up the genre between fantasy, historical fiction, and romance. And I will be announcing tonight on Instagram what the next book is.
Oh, I'm so excited. That's going to be
Can we get a spoiler at the end?
Hi, Jennifer. Hello, Corinna. I see a couple more people here. Let me know who you are.
Me and
I'm just going to jump right into it.
Yeah, me and Jennifer were commenting a lot in the chapter chats. It was like reacting to all of my reactions.
I'm the absolute worst at.
Oh, it's fine. I was liking the Fable. This was like a new tryout because I've never used it. And I was liking that when people comment on the chapters, it doesn't say what they said in the notifications.
Oh.
Where Discord kind of spoils it if people don't know how to like hide it. So
yeah.
I love that about Fable. Like it doesn't show what people are saying. Like you have to actually click on the chapter to go see what people said. So I thought that's really nice.
I didn't even know to look inside Fable.
Oh, it's okay.
I didn't know either. I was just getting notifications, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to respond in the chapters," and then I had to try to remember what was happening because
I wonder if mine is muted or something.
Because it's so late.
We're still learning it. It's new.
Yeah. I'll do better, guys. I'll do better.
It was fun interacting in the comments, and I appreciate you going through and commenting. It helped me like kind of bounce my ideas. So the first question,
the real MVP. She's the best.
She is. Did you find the world building difficult to understand? And if so, why?
I mean, I bet Yvette's like, no.
I didn't actually.
She probably thinks this is like the easiest one because she's read Way of Kings. I mean,
yeah,
tomato, not tomato.
It did take a little bit. Like with any fantasy, I go into it, and even if I'm not understanding it, I'll just be like, all right, push through. You'll understand it at one point. Like, we're just giving you the info. Just keep on going. So I'm not like, I'm never too worried at the beginning if I'm not getting it. I will say that having the elements at the end was very nice, to be able to kind of look at that, and like they have the Mistings titles, because that was one thing I was just like, wait, what was a smoker and what was this? So I liked that. But I just thought it was so interesting. I mean, them talking about pushing and pulling and then just like taking off and everything. I was like, what? I was definitely blown away.
Definitely.
What about you, Leah?
So it actually reminds me of the book Defy the Night. I don't know if anyone has ever read that, but it's very like dystopian. There's like, you know, it's a world that is lacking in like color and life. And it's basically like the ash city of what used to be. And so I definitely got, I forget who wrote Defy the Night. Let me just go ahead. Since I mentioned it, I'm going to find the author.
Like Bridget McKemmer.
Yes, that sounds right. Yes, it's Bridget Kemmerer.
Yeah.
It's this one, actually. I don't know if you can see it.
I still need to read that. I have it, and I want to read it at some point.
It was very much the male version of that book, because I felt like that book was just told from like a female perspective. So there was like romance, and there were a lot of things happening. Whereas this book was exciting in the sense that it had a lot going on, and the world building was pretty easy for me to understand. But it was like the magic system was so much more complicated in this book than that book, because it wasn't really magic-y, it was more sci-fi. So I really had to like not be spoon-fed like usual. Like we had talked about, like I feel like fantasies are usually like, okay, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. But that did not happen in this book. I felt like you really had to have like a pretty broad imagination, and also like keep track of things pretty well. But yeah, I was kind of like Yvette. I was like, I don't know anything that's happening. And I had to keep reading. And I kind of felt like my tie in with the characters, when I started to understand the characters' motivations more in the book, and like what they were fighting for and what was happening, then I kind of got like the world appeared to me. So I really liked this setting, because I felt like it was very broody and misty and dark and like depressing. I like vibed with it. It was atmospheric.
A little dystopian.
Yeah, it was dystopian. It was atmospheric. It was like, you know, rebel with the cause. I did like it a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like at first I found it difficult, the world building, but I did get the hang of it. I think, like Leah was saying, I feel like I'm so used to fantasy just kind of spoon feeding you. I'm realizing that the more current fantasies, like I don't know what you would call modern romanticities or whatever, I feel like they very much just make it so easy. And I don't feel like I've read a fantasy that was this in depth before. I'm just not used to it. So it took me a while, and I was like, man, like you really have to be paying attention. You really have to be like paying attention to these characters and like the magic system and all that. And I'm like, what have I been reading this whole time?
So, I feel like it was very like, whereas other fantasies, they leave things open-ended. They're just kind of like, this works because it works. Where and this is like very specific reasoning.
Yes, it was very detailed.
Yeah. You could definitely tell that Brandon Sanderson likes to give a question, then an answer. Like there has to be a rhyme and a reason. Like we're not just going to introduce something and it's just going to be floating in the ether. Like we're going to explain everything to the utmost, which is really what I do appreciate. One fun thing to note is that in my mind, I imagined this whole book for like 70% of it, like on the rooftops of buildings. Like when she's like something, you know what I mean? Like, so
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah. It just reminded me of like I told Wendy Mulan.
Oh, fun.
But do you remember the scene in Mulan where she's like trying to attack the emperor, and she's like on the buildings? And I just imagined the whole book like that.
I was thinking like a video game kind of like.
Yes. I said it reminded me of Assassin's Creed. I don't know anybody's played that, but I
Totally.
do love Assassin's Creed.
I love Assassin's Creed.
And when they were talking about, like, the different houses and, like, the
Yes.
I was like, "This is so like Assassin's Creed right now."
Totally.
So funny. I'm not a gamer. I haven't played that, but
And
I
that
know.
was when I felt like I finally could see the world a little bit when she had to, like, sneak in the ballroom and play a character and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, "I
I
do this
liked
in
that too.
Assassin's Creed."
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
go ahead
also
and read what
thought,
they said.
you know, he specifically chose that character, Vin, to follow
Yeah.
because she had to be taught the magic system. Like, that was
Mhm.
a very smart way to do it. Like, because instead of just being like, these are what's going on, he was teaching her, which was in turn teaching us.
Yeah,
how.
it really helped when he went over all the medals,
Yeah.
like, in detail.
Yeah.
So Corinna says, "I understood the world, but it took a little bit, around 135-ish pages. I was so happy that Kelsier went through everything with Vin, and there was another scene much later that was a very good explanation," which I think
Yeah.
is what we just mentioned.
Yeah.
No, I thought they explained it pretty well. For me, the prologue threw me off more than the world building. Yeah, the prologue was pretty long. I wish those things were at the beginning of the book or a note saying we could find it. I agree. I didn't even see it till I finished the book, like
Yeah.
the medals at the end.
Yeah.
I do still have one question. I'm sure someone coffee vet can answer it. Do you always have to swallow the vials to have the magic, or was it just more intense if they had that option?
So it was more intense if they had that option. Like Vin, that's how she didn't know she had it. And so she was getting it just by eating off of plates that were metal, and she was getting it the iron that was already in her body. So she was burning that at low doses from the very beginning.
I was thinking they didn't always have to ingest it because they talked about, like, the jewelry and the belts and the
Yeah.
different stuff, so
Lit.
I didn't know for sure on that,
Well,
but
the jewelry and belts doesn't help them. You can it can be a part of you. It does have to be ingested. So if you do have
okay.
like an earring, you would have to swallow it to be able to do anything with it. But yeah, so specifically, she didn't have any metal in her except for she had to like store it up, but she didn't know what she was doing. She kept on calling it luck, but it
Yeah.
was really just her like whenever she ate and would like scrape her fork against the plate and would get little bits in her, and
Whoa.
she would store it up over time, but she didn't realize she was doing it.
So
Yeah.
Allomancy, you have to ingest it to use its power.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why when she was behind the bars at the end, you know, that's not really a spoiler, but you know, she's behind some bars at the end, they flush her out. She has nothing inside of her. She can't do anything with the bars. And
Yeah.
she even
Right.
says, like, she's like, how can I get a flake off of this? Like she's trying to do something and she can't get anything.
Right. That's a
I
good
need to
question.
go back and read the prologue. Now Elantris makes a little more sense to me already. I never finished that, but I'll go back and reread it after more books of his. Someone told me to read it last. Someone told me to read it first.
What's Atlantis?
That's a
I'm not
Brandon
sure.
Sanderson.
This was my first Brandon Sanderson, and I was intimidated to start, which is why I was so excited when you announced this book for the book club. I was very intimidated, and I feel like rightfully so.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we were
Okay.
all intimidated except for Yvette, who like reads all of
I
his.
knew, like, as soon as I was like, "This is the book I'm reading," Yvette is coming because she knows him better than anybody else I know. So I was like, if I don't know what's happening, Yvette will know.
Yeah.
I mean, the prologue had me stressed. I was like, oh my God.
And there was one character in this book who's in the Way of Kings, the whole, and he's very important in the Way of Kings. And I was like, ah!
So are you supposed to read this before Way of Kings?
What'd you say?
Are you supposed to read this before Way of Kings?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't, so I didn't feel like I didn't understand anything in the other one. I
Yeah.
think they're all interconnecting. So I'm not sure if there's like a specific one. I'm sure he has it like on his website what he thinks you should read. But I know like Elantris has stuff, and then there's another one, the Waybreaker, I think the other one. those ones have like interconnecting stuff. Very mild.
I have a question. Do
What?
any of his books have romance as the
No.
No, I don't think so.
There's like a whole meme where it's just all like, you know, like you're cooking up a book for Brandon Sanderson's cooking up a book, and he's like dumping in rice, and he's like, here's a sprinkle here, and then like he dumps in a bunch of plot and magic, and then spice. There's like 2 grains of rice in there, and then he like takes 1 grain of rice away, like 1 grain of rice. It's like very
so factual.
That's so funny.
Whenever she meets someone in the book, I don't know if we can spoil it yet, but there's a certain person she meets, and I was like, oh my gosh, and then I'm like waiting till the very end until anything happens.
That was more
it's like a cozy mystery.
Yeah, it's like a cozy mystery. It's like, I will give you like a sliver.
You get little crumbs.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the punishment Kelsier gave Cameron and when he arrived on the scene? And I added this question specifically because there was a discussion going on in the Fable chapter breakdowns about this, and that's why I put that in there.
I'm going to let Yvette answer because I fell asleep during this part, I believe, in my audiobook, and I don't remember this part specifically, so I don't know.
I mean, it definitely showed that he was like a person who just jumps in and immediately is going to take charge, because I mean, he just saw somebody being beaten and he's just like, all right, like taking you down, sir. And the same, I mean, it matched his personality very well, because in the prologue, I think it was, where they're taking away that one girl to be used by one of the lords, and then they get killed afterwards. So she was about to be, you know, she was like 14 years old, about to be, you know, raped and then killed. And he's just like, oh, I know what I'm doing tonight, murderer. And so he like goes on. So it shows exactly his personality, where he's just like, I will defend, and he's just like, he takes care of it, and then he's not going to let this guy go unpunished either. But he did say not to kill that guy. So
well, so people were talking about it in the discussion, and they were just thinking maybe he deserved more of a punishment than what Kelsier had given him. And I felt like I liked the punishment he gave him, because he had to suffer longer, you know, losing his status and having to serve. I felt like was more of a punishment than just straight up killing him then and there.
I think so.
So that was my thoughts on that.
Embarrassment is the punishment.
Remember when she drained Vin of all her medals when she was in prison? She couldn't do anything. It has to be ingested. Has a YouTube video that tells you what order to read his books in.
I figured he's very active and does that type of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like he was just kind of beats to his own drum.
Well, I just wasn't sure if his intentions were pure, and like if he was going to double cross everybody. Like, I just wasn't sure about him for either.
Yeah, I was like 90% sure good, but like there was this 10% thought that like, what if he takes over and then becomes very similar? Or I thought that maybe the journal entries were actually his.
Oh, I loved the journal entries.
I loved that. Showing his corruption, but it was like in the future or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right. I wasn't 100% sure.
I was worried that revenge would cloud his judgment and he would do something really stupid. Because of course, his plot was pure intentions of like helping the Ska and everything. I mean, there were a lot of different things that he wanted to do, but I thought that like specifically his revenge about his wife would like make him make bad decisions. And so I was always a little bit on edge. Anytime he was doing something, I'm like, oh, what is he going to do? Quickly became one of my favorite characters. I think I was like a chapter 30 and I was like, dude, he's so cool.
I know.
Are you saying that's your favorite character?
I don't know. Honestly, gosh, I don't know. I think Elend is my favorite character.
I liked Elend a lot too.
The real bookish lord. I mean, I don't know. It's between him and Ven, but I loved their banter.
I also like Brazier, the one who could soothe people.
Yeah.
I thought he was hilarious. Where he's like at the very beginning, he's all like, "Bring me the wine."
I didn't even notice you changed the question.
Oh yeah,
because we were talking about how he became your favorite, and that was the next question.
My official answer would probably be like, yeah, Kelsier was my favorite character. I think.
I also like Sazed though a lot.
Sazed, that's what Corinna.
That's what Corinna said.
Sazed wasn't like
Jennifer
amazingly cool though until she was like trapped in the cell.
Like, no, I liked him.
Like wolf monster dude. But Kelsier, what I loved about him so much is when can I spoil? Because this is
I did say at the beginning, but I'll say again, this will have spoilers. If you have not read Mistborn, leave now.
Okay. when they unrolled the whole intention and plot behind Kelsier, that he died intentionally because the Ska had to believe in someone as a new god, like a hope. That was the point where I was like, oh my gosh, Kelsier is like 3 steps ahead of everybody. And he's just like, that's what made him so epic to me, is that he was willing to die for the greater good, and that he knew how everyone would receive it. So he like thought ahead and saw how every domino would fall. And
to get the Ska, like to have courage and
I was
finally stand up.
I was like playing Mastermind by Taylor Swift while I was like, oh, it's like the whole song is about him.
Yeah.
Masterful.
My favorite was Kelsier for sure, and then Elend. I loved Elend, especially like all the ballroom scenes with him reading. Like I'm like, he's me.
I was very worried about Elend, that he would end up just being a lord, where he was just thinking, like, he was just kind of bored and was thinking of the future and maybe making it better, and wasn't willing to do what it takes now.
Yeah,
I was a little nervous that that's what was going to happen. But then, like, when he just like at the end, when he's just like, I'm on the wrong side, I was like, oh my gosh, this is
amazing. And like the end, can I spoil it? Where he becomes the Lord? I was like, like,
yes.
I wanted him so. When she first met him, and
I don't think he's not like the
he's like the leader, or like
he's like a king kind of.
Yeah, like he took he's on like the throne of the rebellion, like the new order, whatever.
Yeah.
So he's not like, God or anything. But when she first met him and they talked in that first scene at the ball, I was like, she sees good in him.
Yeah.
Something's gonna be, he's like a good person.
Yeah.
I just knew it.
Yeah, well, especially because he didn't seem that interested in like what was going on. He was just reading his book.
We just like
he has to be someone I like if he's just over here reading.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's the only reason we thought he was good.
Yeah. It's because he's reading.
And he knows
like a lot.
She says it feels like Game of Thrones, not always enough. I think it was better to make him suffer to live and suffer. Yeah. I agree. That's how I felt about Kelsier too. I thought the same thing about the journal entries.
Oh, that might have been
she said Sazed and Kelsier and Sazed. And then he was so interesting. I liked him right off the bat.
Is that Kelsier or Sazed?
I think Sazed because she said this.
Yeah. I also really, really liked him.
His demeanor was just amazing, and intelligence. Kelsier was crazy smart and had been, though, so much and so self-sacrificing. I loved learning about Sazed as a keeper. Yeah,
I did like all the different religions and things that he kept. Like that was pretty cool.
Elend was fantastic. And I was so glad he proved that noblemen could be good too. There's always exceptions to the stereotypes. Yeah.
Yeah, his dad. He sucked.
Right. Elend is bookish. Yes, I did too. Okay, so then the next question is, who did you like the least?
The least. The girl at the ball that Vin finally killed.
Oh yeah.
Something with an S.
Yeah, she was
Sade or Sade.
I will never find it. But
Hold on, I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, if there's more than one, that's the thing with Brandon Sanderson. Sometimes he has characters with the same first letter, and I'm like, you can't do that to me. Like,
Yeah,
I cannot do multiple. What?
Saren.
Saren.
Right? Saren, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking Sarah. So
He was the one who was like, "Oh, you're his little toy."
well, that and just like saying stuff and being like whenever she would just demean her every single time, and every time she got tired at a board or bored at a ball, she'd come over and just like rag on Vin. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
Wasn't she the one? Because it's possible that I just got it all across, but wasn't she the one that was the informant? Right at the very end, you found out that she was
Gazette.
Gazette. Okay.
Gazette something.
So yeah. So okay. I was thinking it was the same person. There were times where I genuinely
there was like this really vapid. Yeah, there was a vapid girl who would steal information by pretending to be super vapid. And then there was another one who was really mean, and she was actually a Mistborn.
Well, yeah, who's the one who is the character at the end who soothes people? And you found out that she was like like she could soothe people.
At the end?
Yeah, like I think it was at the party.
Yeah, that was what
you're talking about?
Sarah.
Erin had an element of soothing people, right?
She was a Mistborn.
That's what I thought. Okay, yes, she was a Mistborn. So then she found out. So yeah, Saren is my least favorite. I was going to say, I thought that's what happened. She was my least favorite character, I think. Probably also Lord Farrow. He's just annoying.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be like the heiress or she was supposed to be the inheritor of his fortune or whatever. Right? Is his name Farrow?
Venture?
No, who's the girl? Who is the guy that Vin is playing like she is his family?
Oh, Renew?
Renew. Yeah. Renew. Yes.
I thought his character was super interesting because
I just thought Lord Renew was annoying.
Oh, really? He's actually a misting and he has to eat the people and then becomes them? I was like, what?
I don't know. I just found him to be irritating. Probably because of the audiobook, his audio character was like the worst.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. As soon as they showed that they showed that like misting character and he's like, they're not that scary. And he like shows the ant creature with all the heads and everything. And then we were like, we're not going to talk about Renew and how he's alive. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I have an idea. It's like, I think I know.
I think the biggest challenge of this book was for me remembering all of the different like people groups and beings and like the Wraiths and the Mistborns and like all the different things that you had to remember what they do. And then you have to remember what allomancy is and all the different metals and what they do. And it was just a lot to like remember. You're just trying to like chill and read. And you're like, well, I don't understand that or
and
that.
I would say you can't really look it up either because as soon as you look anything up, it's a spoiler. So I just like stay away.
Yeah.
So I try and write stuff down.
Exactly. But I mean,
there
overall,
were a lot.
Challenge. It was an intellectual challenge.
Yeah.
So she said Cameron or the S girl.
Yeah, S girl, right?
The gossip.
The gossip. Gazette or something.
Realized she could soothe. Also, Mistress. What was the term? So interesting.
Yeah, those are the ones that
take on bodies, right? Or they can take the bones of somebody and like wear their skin.
So disgusting.
Well, they have to eat them. So
Healthcare
was eaten.
Also,
dead.
I forgot to put this question on here, but the Inquisitors, like, what did you think of that? Because me trying to envision these spikes in their eyes.
Oh
my gosh, I'm having a hard time envisioning what this looks like.
It kind of reminded me of what is the it's on a Marvel movie, Thor, on the second one where it has that big monster robot come and he shoots beams out of his eyes.
I can't remember.
Oh,
I was just imagining just like something really psycho like that.
I should look
Yeah.
up fan art. Dude, I wonder what an inquisitor would look like.
Yeah, look up
Probably-
fan art
I
because
did look up what an inquisitor looked like, and it's just like a person with just spikes straight out the back of their head. Like,
yeah. I
And
will say Brandon Sanderson's like imagination just kind
Yeah.
of rivals J.R. Tolkien with like Lord of the Rings, like so many different beings and things like that. It's a lot. It's impressive.
and again, not a spoiler because I'm not gonna say who, but the spikes come up in The Way of the Kings at one point. So
Interesting.
just, like crossing worlds.
I will live without that knowledge.
Like all of a sudden, like when they said the spikes and they're like inquisitors, I was like, oh my gosh, this happened in one of the books.
I am not Brandon's sample group.
This is what they came up with for inquisitors.
Yeah. Just like
I mean, that
straight
makes
up.
sense. I would imagine. Yeah.
It's the fact that it goes straight out the back of their head too.
I
It's like,
honestly imagined it way, way worse than that.
They
Oh,
were
really?
just so unnecessarily cruel too. Like,
oh yeah.
grief. They're just psycho.
Well, I just think it was. I mean, okay. So did you guys think that Marsh was dead? His brother.
Yes.
Yes.
I for sure did not. I was like, he got
I did.
flayed.
Was dead.
Like when they like said he was flayed, I was like, oh, but they talked about like his skin having tattoos. So like they would be able to identify him if he had the tattoos. So it makes it convenient that he was flayed and you can't find his tattoos anymore.
True.
So I was like, he's probably
I
not
didn't
dead.
think that
And then
deeply.
And I was
Also,
like,
the word flayed. Ew.
yeah. When they said that, I was like, they very distinctly talked about his tattoos and you'll never be able to get rid of those. And he's like, that's okay. And I was like,
Yeah, you're on a whole other plane of like knowledge. I feel like
I just took it for what he said. He's dead.
Yeah,
I didn't think too deeply.
it was really gross though.
I own the rest of the series and 2 Way of Kings, and I'll be continuing. I imagined it worse than that.
Yeah.
Although the spikes reminded me of a wind-up toy when Marsh took them all down with the one in the back. I thought he was dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Kelsier's dead either. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I was thinking that too. So
I
I
think
hope he's not dead.
I mean he's for sure his body is dead because the guy ate him,
Miss Wraith.
became him. So like
Yeah.
that happened. But I think he's gonna come back somehow.
But you remember he lives on as Hope.
Yeah. I don't know.
My favorite part of the book was whenever Kelsier, I don't know how to describe it, when he goes down into where all of the rebels are being kept, like into the caves and the cracks and whatever. And it was like triggering for him because that's where he was entrapped. And so like when he goes down and interacts with everyone, I was like, man, he's just so awesome. Like, wow, he's doing all this stuff and he's facing his fear and all of that.
And he destroys all those geodes.
Yes, when he goes back and he destroys them all, like, I was like, man, he's just the man. But I believe it. I think that he's not dead. Somehow, some way, he found a way around it. I mean, my gosh, he's a mastermind.
Yeah.
I hope so because that really made me sad.
Yeah. I was pretty devastated, and I thought for sure he'd come back in this book, actually. But then when they like talked about him getting when the other guy became him, I was like,
yeah,
it's gonna have to
not.
be different.
That part wherever Kelsier like appeared, like the Miss Wraith that made him like appear to people, was like, oh my god.
Yeah. But I will say that like her being so against the Miss Wraith, being like, I can't believe he did that. I'm like, literally, Kelsier told him to. Why are you begrudging him his like lifehood?
He was so mad at him.
I know.
Like because and he even addresses it. He knew she would even be. He's like, I'm sorry for abandoning you. And the letter, but like, don't you understand? It was for the greater good.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have been mad at the Miss Wraith because that's what he does. That's his not personality.
Well, she had abandonment issues.
Yeah. But she's been great getting over that.
Yeah.
Good job.
What did you guys think of the magic system? We touched on this, but
I don't know if I have more.
Bananas, B-A-N-A. Yes.
I thought it was so complicated. The most complicated magic system ever to me.
It was like chemistry, people.
I was like, I cannot remember all this.
I was like, yeah. It's like you need prior knowledge of the periodic table in some way to understand where he's getting this from genuinely. But it was very cool. Once again, go in the back of the book to get the outline.
Yeah.
Without it, you're stressed. But it was good.
That was helpful.
Did you
it's really interesting that there's most likely more like in the back. I don't think they have gold in there. They don't talk too much about gold.
Well,
so
gold was kind of that thing that she was like, oh, gold doesn't matter or whatever.
Exactly. Gold was the opposite of the 11th metal. So I think we're going to, like, in the next book, it'll probably have a little bit more maybe in there.
So if that compared to his other books, would you say this was the easiest magic system to like contemplate?
I feel like it was a little bit easier. The other one, I mean, is actually not super similar. It's kind of similar because it's gemstones instead of metals. So I feel like having some of that knowledge was a little helpful. It was reading like them talking about pushing and pulling on the metal to fly. That part had me a little in a tailspin. I was like, okay, so you gotta push to get pulled, and then heavier things and lighter things, it makes a difference. So that part was definitely like, oh, okay, trying to wrap my head around. But I don't know. I felt like it was pretty well explained because she's coming into it completely blind and kind of like we are. So I thought that was good.
What's another book? There's another book that has a magic system with gems. Is it Serpent on the Wings of Night? Is there like a gem in there that's like really important? I feel like there's like, there's like, so I remember reading something with another, like, I like when gems are part of the magic system.
Yeah.
I specifically find gems attractive more than metal.
Yeah.
Because gems are girly.
I like gold a lot.
I mean, throw in some diamond stuff, I would have been like, ew. But the magic system to me was just a little bit male.
Yeah, I think this magic system was a little bit more in depth than the other one. The other one is a lot more about like
Magic-y.
political. Just like the magic is very much in the Way of Kings, but like there's a lot more. I feel like the political struggle is a lot more, but there's definitely very interesting stuff in there.
Are all of his books political? Or like
I feel like these two are, and then Tress of the Emerald Sea is not. Like all of his like secret ones seem to be more fluffy.
They're like fairy tale like.
Yeah. And then I think like Waybreaker. I forget what that one's, but I think that one might be as well. So I think so far, yes.
Yeah, cool. I did really like the prophecy aspect, or like the journal entry part. And I felt like whenever the ending happened, the magic system made a lot more sense because they explained how someone could overthrow that element of the magic system.
Yeah.
Allomancy, combining it with what was the other thing? The Thera.
Yes.
Thera something.
Terracemen.
Terramancy or Theramancy.
Terracemen is what they're called.
Well, Theramancy is when you pull your power from within your body, right? And then Allomancy is when you pull it from, right?
Yeah,
because that's how the ending wrapped it all up. So much.
I know.
Corinna said the magic system was so unique. I feel like I struggled easily, and I was impressed I understood it. The pushing and pulling was the hardest part for me.
We said that at the same time. So she said Jinx.
If I was Ben, I would have had the hardest time with the pushing and pulling. I would crash and fall. Oh. Yeah. I told you it was more of a dude's book, but I think that's why I was so surprised that I loved it so much. I started the Well of Ascension on January 1st and is just as political as Mistborn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Pharamancy is
Pharamancy. I thought it was Theramancy. Pharamancy, that makes sense.
Well, Terracemen is what those guys are called.
Right.
So that's why I thought the same thing. But yeah, Ferrosmancy. And for me, it was a surprise who the Dark Lord was in the end, but like that it ended up not being the journal writer, because you kind of led to believe that. But I didn't think it was a surprise that he was the Terrasmancer or the Ferrismancer, because I was just like, why does nobody realize like he's able to live forever? We keep on hearing Sazed tell you how he's able to like stay strong and he can like hold on to his stuff and then live a little longer. I was like, why does nobody realize that maybe he's a Terrasman? And then they're like, and then she even sees him aging in front of her. I'm like, do you not realize why? But
I didn't think any of those things.
But I will say,
I fully understood it.
The one thing that really did surprise was that like I was wondering why he turned evil at the end, and it made so much sense that it was, you know, not him. I was like, that's super
interesting. I was expecting, like, I never thought it was Kelsier, actually. I always knew that the journal entries were going to be the High Lord, or the Great High Lord or whatever, but I did not expect for his Terrorsmen or whatever to overthrow him and take all of his power. That was really cool. Like, that was like, whoa.
Yeah. I thought this would just be a fun question. If you could have any power, what would it be and why? Specifically, if you could choose one metal to use in Mistborn, what would it be and why? So I wrote down, when I was listening to all this, I was just thinking about, like, if I could only pick like one metal, I would use copper, because you can hide when you're using that power the most. I feel being sneaky is the best attribute to have. And also the fact that it can hide me from people using bronze to manipulate my emotions. I felt like if I could only pick one, I would pick copper. Because if I were to only pick one superpower, it would be to be invisibility. Like, I just think that would be a cool
to protect
superpower.
Others.
What?
To protect others.
Like to be invisible? What are you asking?
I mean, you don't become invisible.
No, I just meant like in general.
Oh, okay.
Like if in general, if I were just picking like a generalized superpower, that's what I would pick.
Okay,
but as far as like the metal goes, I would pick copper just because it made it harder for them to like find you and stuff.
Yeah, I'd probably choose brass. Be a
That's what I was gonna say.
I was either gonna be brass or zinc, a rioter.
Me too.
Yeah, because I just think it'd be really interesting to be able to be like manipulate somebody's response to you. Be like, okay, I feel like you might say yes to this, but right now you're not in the right mood. So I'm gonna soothe you a little bit, and then and then we'll be fine. So I'd probably do that, because I feel like copper, I mean, I might as well just be a regular human being, because all I'm doing is
hiding the fact that you're an Allomancer.
Hiding that I'm an Allomancer, but what else? Like, I'm not doing
I just like being sneaky.
Wait, but like, if you were a human, like just regular human, you could just be a sneaky too. It's
like in Assassin's Creed, that's all I do is sneak around and try to be as quiet as possible.
But I mean, you could sneak around just as easily with no powers as with the copper. The copper is more about protecting people. Like that, you're protecting all of those around you, which is really like, I think that's very nice too.
Yeah.
Plug in my computer. I had to scoot back. I would definitely choose. Yeah, I would choose bronze. That's what I was going to say too. Brass. Brass, because I would just like to have everyone say yes to whatever I wanted to.
Yeah. You're like,
let's go to Hawaii. Let me soothe your emotions. I feel like that would be, ultimately you're controlling like someone's decision making in mind. So I feel like that's the ultimate control.
Yeah.
Curtis said, I'd love to soothe my husband.
To do
that. Pewter for energy and strength.
Oh yeah, Thug is pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
I don't ever want my emotions manipulated.
The other one having not just strength, but the one that gives you tin. I thought Tin Eye was really interesting too. enhanced senses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you imagine being able to read like perfectly? Like, you would just be a Timmy.
What's the one that like you predict what their next move is gonna be?
Oh, that's the special one. That's
that was cool.
Adamantium. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
the one where you see like before they do something, how they're gonna.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That got crazy. Do you guys remember the first time she had to travel and go down that path with the metal bars? And it was so far. That was one of my favorite scenes.
No, oh, yes. Now I do.
No.
I was like, no. It was like that road of bars, like somebody's made it.
Oh, yeah. When she's following Kelsier, right, by herself. And
I think so.
Yeah. I mean,
there were so many twists in the last part of the book. Marcia Terraceman and Kelsier. And man, I just love their abilities. Yeah.
I have a question for Yvette. Explain to me Sazed whenever he turned into like the Hulk. What happened?
So I think it was the fact he's able to store everything within himself instead of like expanding any energy. He just like all of a sudden sucks it all in, and if he takes that time, he can like hold. He can all of a sudden get out. It sounded also like, because I think they can, like, the other ones has to ingest, whereas they put it in their body, and so I think he was maybe wearing her earring or something like that. And so he said something to the fact that like, she's like, where did you get like the strength from? And he said, from you. And I was like, I was a little confused by that. Yeah. But I think I didn't know if that meant like mentally, like from you because you're to me, or if it meant like he took some metal from her or something like that. I wasn't 100% sure.
I was wondering that too. I was thinking it was just like you said, like mentally, or like what grand gesture inspired him.
Yeah.
So the fun question, what did you rate it?
I can't wait to hear what Yvette is. You want her to go last? Because that would be really fun.
Sure.
Sure. I rated it 3 stars. But it's not for like, I think this obviously is a very popular book for a reason. I think it's just not my type of fantasy. Huh?
It's 4.49. Over 700,000 people have rated this book, and it's almost 4.5.
I know. That's why I wanted to read it. And you know what's crazy? And this is what makes me feel so dumb, is my sister's daughter read this whole series and loved it, and she's like 13.
Oh, nice.
And I'm over here like confused, and I'm like, how did she read this?
Like, what is
what is wrong with my brain that I can't grasp this?
There's a boy at church that does the same. I forget exactly what he reads, but it's like very complex stuff. And I'm like, how in the world do you follow all of this? Because it's, to me, confusing. I also rated it a 3. I went back and forth from a 2.5 to a 3. And then I just had to come I had to come to the realization that, like, if I'm comparing this to Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, which I despised, that the book is so good. It's a me problem. It's not a Brandon Sanderson problem. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him like my mid, and that would be 3, not because it's a bad book at all. By any means is it a bad book. If you are someone who likes fantasy that is complex and like history type informative books, you would really love it. But I think it was just, I'm not his audience, so I had to like be careful. Yeah. So you really can't compare. Corinna's right. You can't compare genres, but I was trying to think of like an experience that I had with a book that I really didn't like. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not that bad. Yeah. So I just gave it a 3 just because I'm not the audience, not because it wasn't good. If I was a fantasy thrill seeking, like if I loved, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, probably 5-star this book. But it is a total immersion type book. Don't get any ideas that it's not. Like, you have to be totally immersed to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yvette?
Okay.
I think I would give it a 4.5. I just finished it today, so I'm probably like, I'll think on it.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, we'll see if I bump it up to a 5. but I think I'm kind of comparing it to The Way of the Kings a little bit.
Well, that makes sense.
And because I just finished that, and those were just like, I read it and I was like 5-star, and like this one I'm like 5-star, like lowercase 5-star,
Yeah.
and that was uppercase 5-star. And so I think probably on Goodreads I'll round it up to 5 stars most likely. And then I love Fable because thank goodness they give us that opportunity. I think that's hilarious that Goodreads is trying to compete with them, so they came up with like bookmarks, and I was like,
Yeah.
you came up with bookmarks, but you couldn't give us the half stars? Like, come on.
Right? That's like the one thing we
All we
want.
wanted. So,
And they give us quarter stars. No, I don't use those, but
yeah. I do every once in a while, but I'm like, yeah. So on Fable, it'll be 4.5.
Did you read it, or did you audio and read it, tandem read it, or did you just
I mostly audioed it, and then I would look up like people's names because I like to like write that down. If something I didn't understand, I would just like eyeball it for a little bit.
I would like to say that I think if you read this, you should I think people would enjoy reading it more than audio. I think if I had all the time to sit and read it, I would have had like a better experience. I mean, I did have a lot of time, but because I didn't have the physical book, I had to hoopla it. So I think that this is one of those books that like you got to read it, not listen to it.
I tandem read it.
I liked the audio. I will say like The Way of the Kings is male and female readers, so that's really nice.
That would be nice.
But I liked the guy who reads it, so I mean, I think he did a pretty good job.
He did.
Yeah.
4.5 for Jennifer and 4.5 for Corinna. I loved it, but I didn't get the 5-star feeling. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I thought it was good. And so that's what my 3 usually means. And I think it more has to do with my enjoyment level versus it being a good book. I think that it's a great book for a lot of people, but I just am not like Leah said, it's not my type of fantasy. So I just didn't enjoy it as much as other fantasies. But I can totally see why people would love it. If I only listened, I don't think I'd have been able to comprehend it at all.
Yeah,
I did do both.
I would agree that I only listened. I didn't have physical. So I do think that altered my experience. If I had tandem read it, it could have been a 4-star. I was just confused a lot.
Yeah. So I did find the one section where, Sazed is rescuing her. And so they get their strength from wearing the jewelry, but she said, "Where did you hide the medal?" And he said, "I took a hint from you, mistress. I swallowed it." So he like swallowed it, and I think he was able to like bring it free, and then was able to get his strength.
Okay, that makes sense.
I was like, how did they have
I was so confused.
Is it me?
Yeah, it's freezing for me.
I was listening.
You're frozen, Leah.
While I was like making.
Remember when you did sprints and this like?
Yeah. You're breaking up, Leah. Corinna said, "Here we go."
Is she just saying boo? I feel like
you're still frozen.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. What?
It's like I'm waiting till she hears us say she's frozen.
I know.
Oh, there she goes. Will you be continuing the series?
Yeah, absolutely.
I will be continuing the series because I bought the box set.
Oh, nice.
And I do hope that because the first one's typically setting things up, maybe I'll get it more in the next one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'll read any more from him. The only other one I tried was Trust of the Emerald Sea. And I DNF'd it. It just wasn't for me. So I don't know if I'm just like not his audience.
Yeah, it's definitely more like Wheel of Time is another one. And Lord of the Rings, just very,
Yeah.
very descriptive. I felt like this one was a little bit less than like Lord of the Rings, which is very
Yeah.
descriptive because it's like got like the heist in it and everything. But yeah. Oh, that's the other one. That's right, Corinna. Skyward is his other one. I was like, I feel like he has a third series.
I think that it was
I
too
don't know if
overly detailed for me, and I think that's where I just got bored. And then I also get lost when it's super political. Like, sometimes I'll just be, like, zoning out on things like that.
Oh, she's restarting her computer.
Okay.
Leah is.
Where did I leave off on the comments? I
I
tried the audio, but since it was my first Brandon Sandow, it was hard to understand, so I read it physically. Also, expectations make a difference, I think, and Wendy didn't love it, so I went in pretty bleak. Yeah, but I'm also like a pretty harsh rater also, so take that with a grain of salt. I have only read Warbreaker and I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure what to read next by Brandon, but I really want to read a few more of his books this year. And you're frozen, and Alicia popped in to laugh. And it's so interesting because I tend to zone out as well.
I need to read Skyward because I have the first 3 books and I've never read it. I feel like that's one that a lot of people say to start with because
Skyward?
I think it's YA.
Okay.
So it's a little bit easier, but that one's more like sci-fi and I like fantasy, so but I do want to read it.
I figured this would be a good one for you to answer. What have you read by Brandon Sanderson? How does it compare to Mistborn?
So I've read all of The Way of the King so far, which is 5 books. And that's the only series that I've read by him and everything. So I thought it was a little different in the fact that this is like a heist book, but is very much political intrigue, like trying to take down different sections and everything. In The Way of the Kings, they can fly. So I thought it was really interesting that he found a way to make them fly in this one too.
Yeah.
Because technically it's not, he even says, he's like, it's not really flying, it's just falling in different directions. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. You always feel like you're falling the whole time. But yeah, there's a thing called the Sanderlanche. So it's like avalanche, but his last name, so Sanderlanche. So like The Way of the Kings has these the last like 100 or so pages is just a Sanderlanche. It's just all like so much stuff is happening. I didn't feel like this was as intense as those where you're just kind of holding on for dear life. But I did feel like the last, like all the stuff that happened at the end was very interesting. I was getting very annoyed that Vin kept on getting captured. I was like, you just got saved and then you went back.
Get it together.
But it turned out okay.
Sorry, I had to restart my computer. What did I miss?
Okay, so all we said before that was, will you be continuing the series?
Will you?
I am, because I have the other 2. But I also think because the first one is usually set up, I'm kind of hoping I'll understand the other ones a little more. But I said in saying that I probably won't read any of his others unless I just like am blown away, by the last 2.
And I think that Yvette, probably your answer is yes.
Yes. I'm going to read them all now.
I am going to read another if Wendy likes it, because Wendy will know if I will hate it. So I'll wait.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just have to really love the next 2 in the series to even want to, because I was going to read Way of the Kings because everybody's like, it's the best ever. But now I'm like,
it is so good. But let me tell you, there are so many people, like the magic system. I was on board with that. It was the amount of people I was having to read about that I was.
Is it as many as Throne of Glass or more?
Oh, more.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
Because I thought Throne of Glass, when it gets like halfway, there's a lot.
There are a lot.
I felt like she seamlessly did it.
These are all different people that I wrote. Like, I was like, these are people. I need to make sure I know who they are.
Oh my gosh.
Never mind.
That's all of the characters.
Yeah.
I'm not
I can't
reading
keep that
that.
straight.
I already went to college.
And I would
I
be
went to
like,
college.
all of a sudden they pop up and be like, "Who are you?" Oh, okay.
See, that's where you lose me. If I have to spend so much time, like if it's like a college textbook where I have to remember so much information to be able to piece the story together, you're gonna lose me.
I will say
reading
that
is
like
enjoyable.
writing it down puts it in my brain so that I didn't have to refer to it very often.
Yeah.
But like, because if I didn't, then I'll be like, who was this again? You know, and then I spend 20 minutes trying to go find it. But yeah, like writing it down, it like almost made a mental note in my brain too of who it was.
And this next question, have you read from Sanderson before? If so, compare it to Mistborn. Yes. I read Tress on the Emerald Sea, and I just thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And I actually got quite far. I think I was like, I want to say like over 30, maybe pushing like 40-ish%. Because I remember listening to it on the way to my mom's house, and I was like, why? Why is this rat talking? What is happening? Like, I will say that apparently he wrote it for his wife, and it's like a love story type. And there is like love in it. Has like a romance element. So maybe I will revisit it. But Jordan from, I think, Jordan Elaine, I think she read it and was like, meh. I don't think
I don't know that she ever finished it.
Did she not finish it? Maybe she DNF'd it. I think
she soft DNF'd it.
It's a Princess Bride retelling, so that's why the rats are in there.
Oh.
But I haven't read it yet, so don't tell me more.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, okay. So anyway, yeah.
That's going to be actually maybe my next book after this. I'm gonna pick that one.
I believe it is the Bookish Cottage. Maddie, her husband was like, The Way of Kings is like
I know all the time, and that's the only reason I thought about reading it.
Yeah,
like,
it's so good. Like, I don't want to deter you, but it is a ton. But it's just, it is so good.
I feel like you have to work yourself up to that, and I feel like at this point, I'm not.
So the thing is, it's amazing. It's amazingly written. It delves very deep into mental health, very beautifully, like redeems people and talks about mental health in a very interesting way. There's like a person with split personalities who's very interesting. There's all these redeeming facts in people, and it's very, very good. And just like talking about the wars and just like, again, hope and being like a beacon of light, and like it's very good.
So, it's interesting because I do feel like there is kind of like a prophecy. There's one who will save us all. There's the chosen one element in his books from what I've gathered. So like with Kelsier, he had to die and sacrifice himself to save everyone. So in a way, he's kind of like a type of Jesus Christ. Like, you know what I mean? Like how they like the chosen one. The same thing for Harry Potter. Later on, J.K. Rowling was saying that she was actually trying to base that character off of something similar to, you know, like a type of Christ, like Jesus being the only one who can save. And so I do think that it's interesting that he kind of does have that one heroic character in his books, which I really appreciate. He's kind of like the Stephen King of the fantasy world. Like he just shoves out books like nonstop. Like how do you have that much information in your brain?
I will say, I feel like it's the opposite because well, maybe because he's doing other books in the meantime, but The Way of Kings, the first book came out in 2010. There's only been 5 books.
I just
and it's not finished.
His entire, you know.
No, I'm very upset about this. Is that like this was supposed to be 5 books. It was supposed to be this was part 1, and then similar to Mistborn. So Mistborn is a trilogy, but then there's 3 more after it in the same world, but set way later. So you don't technically have to read those later ones. You could just finish the trilogy if you want. And The Way of Kings was 5, and that was supposed to be the first arc, and then there was going to be a second arc. Well, it really didn't happen that way. Like he should not have advertised it like that, because I just finished the 5th book and I was like, nothing happened. Like I was so mad. I was like, nothing got tied up. You said it was supposed to be tied up. and that like the other one's gonna happen happen a little bit later. No, I was very frustrated finishing that book because I just felt like it was 1,300 pages and it was just not anything happening.
I mean, that is more than War and Peace. I'm pretty sure.
Is it really?
Nice. I think that's more pages than War and Peace.
Which never have to read War and Peace now.
Everybody says is like, I remember whenever I was like, first starting to read and stuff, that was like the book that everybody was trying to get to. Like, if you could read War and Peace, you can read anything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm going to look, which by the way, Anna, Wendy's sister, has read War and Peace.
I'm hoping to read all the Cosmere books. The amount of people is...
People...
It scares me about Game of Thrones. I don't know what she meant to say. I usually feel like that too. Writing Tilly helps me remember. Good point. I love me some redeeming qualities. Yvette, have you read Name of the Wind?
I haven't, but I do have that one. Let's see here. It's really pretty.
Yeah, War and Peace is like 1,392 pages. So it's
dang it. This one's 1,333.
You're almost there. I mean, read the epilogue and I'm sure you'll make it.
Where is my book? You can continue while I find it.
Oh, you're fine. The next question is, are there any authors or other books you would suggest if someone liked this book?
Defy the Night by Bridget Kermer.
I have this one, The Name of the Wind.
That is really pretty.
It's like got this like face in it and everything. It's really cool looking. I
love that.
But I really want to get to this one. I feel like I've been growing more and more like fantasy wise, like, and I love all these.
Yeah, I think that I need to work my way up to something like Way of Kings. I feel like because I really started reading fantasy only a year ago. And so maybe I just need to like read a lot more of it to really be able to get to that level.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was lucky that the Way of the Kings, there was this one person, the Foxy Reader. She was doing a read along, and so she just hosts it on Instagram, and you join her group. And she made it very digestible. Like, she was like, okay, we're gonna read the first book, and we're gonna do it in 6 weeks. So like 1,000-page books in 6 weeks. That's way easier to do. And so we did that, and then the second book, the third book, and then the fifth book I blew through because I just wanted to finish it before the end of the year. But then every single week she would do a synopsis. She would just like, and this is what happened. So even if you like forgot what happened, you could just go back to an old synopsis and kind of look. Cool. So it made it very like approachable for me. It would have been a lot harder otherwise, maybe.
Yeah.
But I just thought
a really big book, that would be nice to like take a slow pace. I like that.
Yeah. Approach. Yeah.
Do you have any other authors or books you would suggest, Yvette?
Yes. These ones. Okay, so if you like Sazed, I would read Sorcery of Thorns.
I have that. Cool.
There's a character in there that's very much Sazed coded. And I think he's awesome. I love this book a lot. But for those that don't know, there are like demons in here. So, and some of them are on the good side. So if you don't like that, could be a hard book to read, but I really liked this book. If you're looking for heists, you've got Tempest of Tea. And this one wasn't my favorite by this author, but that's
nobody liked that one on BookTube.
I feel like it was overhyped. Like, this is a gorgeous cover. I think I'm hoping the second one is better. But I liked her other stuff. So that would be like, if you want a heist book, same with, of course, Six of Crows. Everybody likes Six of Crows, and that's heist book. And then A Darker Shade of Magic. If you like there's a guy in here named Kel as well. And like, he very much reminded me of that. There's if you like the like kind of street urchin girl who becomes and like comes into her power, there's a girl in here who's similar to that. And then again, along that vein, if you really liked the magic system,
Love that
Okay,
book.
have that too.
if you liked the magic system as well as of a young person trying to come into their powers and everything, Blood Air, really good series. And then finally, Way of the Kings.
I was like, you're not going to suggest a Brandon Sanderson?
I didn't really come that prepared, but it yeah.
There was definitely times where I'd just be like, oh, this reminds me.
I feel like there were parts that reminded me of Spark of the Everflame, someone coming into their power. What's her name? Something with a D.
Oh yeah, Dea.
Something. Yeah.
DM.
DM. When DM coming into her power. And there were times where like certain I'm going to be random. Certain aspects of it reminded me of Legends and Lattes because there were a lot of random characters in there that were like similar, like shapeshifter type things. And then, of course, it reminded me of Akawar, which to me had a lot of politics, like a lot. So that was very political, just like this book. And then I already said one. What was the first one that I said? Defy the Night. Defy the Night, 100%. The dystopian aspect of it. They're fighting against, like against the Lord who's trying to take away everything. And then, funny enough, it actually sort of reminds me of Quicksilver, which I just finished.
Oh, I love
that. I forgot about that.
Like 1,000%.
Because of the metal, yeah.
If you took these two books and you mirrored them, Quicksilver
it's so
would be
funny.
Like the female answer to this.
Because I just read Quicksilver and I was like, I've never read any fantasy that involves metal.
So much.
And then I went into Mistborn and I'm like, oh.
She can control.
I thought that power was so cool. And this book was like over the top metal power. And I'm like, all right, I'm over it.
Quicksilver is, if you want to read a book about this where someone can kind of bend the elements in a certain way, but you want a romantasy aspect, Quicksilver by Callie Hart, 100%. Finished it. I gave it a 4-star because I am someone who has to be in love with a main character. I have to be like when so many people are vying for like this main character's affection, she better be good. I don't know, like she, you know what I mean? So
I loved it.
I liked it a lot. I really did too. If the main character just had a little bit more depth to her, I would have been like totally sold.
I do have one more that I don't own, and I forgot to say is show it. There we go. Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence is also a very good, like big fantasy. So like some of these are a little easier to read. Like I think all of the ones that I suggested actually are YA. So they're going to be
Blood Air's YA. I'm going to look. There was another one I was thinking of.
Yeah. So I think, those are all going to be a lot easier. But if you loved like the fantasy aspect of this book, like the political intrigue, again, this is a young girl orphaned who comes into her powers. They like bring her up. Really great story. Like it's a trilogy. So good. So if you haven't read from Mark Lawrence before, that series is one of my favorite series as well.
Yeah.
I think Tammy said this reminded her of Six of Crows or Shadow and Bone. One of the two.
I had Six of Crows because it's a heist book. So you definitely you want.
I haven't read it before, but she said it reminded her of that.
It's so good.
Let me see. Which I want to try. I also want to try Game of Thrones, but now I'm scared.
She tried to say it said eBay instead. but that scares me.
That book is so beautiful. I thought I loved my copy, but Name of the Wind never got finished either, did it?
I forget if it's that one or there's another one that I feel like didn't get finished.
He just starts a bunch of stuff and then he's like ADHD. Like, I just want to start a whole new series right now.
Yeah, Game of Thrones still isn't finished. And I think he's just like too scared to finish it because the TV show didn't finish well. So he's like, I don't want to do it. It's like, okay.
Wait a second. Did you say Game of Thrones? Did he write that?
No, Game of Thrones is George R. Martin, I think.
Yeah.
Like that.
She's talking about this one.
Yeah. He hasn't finished it either, I think. Is it? Is it that one or yeah, it is. And I think it never will be finished either. I'm pretty sure like he's
That
announced.
sucks. I hate when they do that.
Yeah, and there's like 4 books already.
Ooh, good to know. Sorcery of Thorns. I need to put it on my TBR.
Sam recommended it to her. It's on her
really
12
liked it.
books.
Oh, good.
I liked it, but I'm weird. I think she's talking about Tempest of Tea, but I could be wrong.
Probably.
okay.
Alicia, I'm using the cup you made me. It says,
Aw.
love your shelf.
I'm so excited for your Rex, Yvette, because I own most of those, but haven't read them. Surprise.
Okay, yeah. So the ones that I liked the most, basically everything in there except for a Tempest of Tea was okay.
Ooh,
But
I
I
need to know.
loved Blood Air, A Darker Shade of Magic. I love those books. And I really like
Said, I see that.
Only because I've been drinking it like the entire time.
That's so funny.
I want to know what book she was meaning. Alicia, what book are you meaning when you said I liked it?
I
Is it
think she's talking about Tempest of Tea because that's the one that we were saying no one liked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's all the questions I had. Did you guys have anything to add about the book at all?
Oh, I have a question. Is there a movie that is similar to this book? Like, is there a movie or a movie series or a show series? Because I'm not like adverse to the whole other world, like different alloy, like influencing. That's pretty cool. But like, is there a show or a movie that's like this?
I don't know why, but it sort of reminds me of Divergent a little bit.
Yes. Okay. I would say I
don't
agree.
know, because like
It reminded me of Ocean's 11.
That's my husband's favorite movie.
I love Ocean's 11. It's like a heist movie.
Yeah, he's like obsessed with all of those movies.
Yeah,
And each
she's talking
person
about
has
the
a
Tempest.
reason, and so it's kind of like, I mean, they're not magic, but they have a specific, like, you're the person, you're the contortionist, you're the person, you're the, and they each have a reason.
Have like a job. Kelsier was very good about like delegating everybody to do a specific thing.
Yeah,
like,
he
this
was
is
a good leader. All I think about is Assassin's Creed. I'm sorry. That's all I got.
I know. But Assassin's Creed is really good.
I think there's actually
there is a movie.
No, I was gonna say there is like a movie of
Yeah, but I
think it
never
was
watched the
terrible.
movie.
With Michael Fishbender or whatever.
I never watched it.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm pretty sure there is.
I want to
is.
say that
It
even
is.
though you didn't love it, I'm so happy this pushed me to read it. I've had it for years. I'm so excited to have experienced it and will continue. So thank you.
Yeah.
I always feel bad because like I know every host feels bad when they pick a book and they don't love it. But
I don't know why.
am glad that everybody else loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone else loved it. Oh, I would like to add. So
It makes you think like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I love it?
Oh no.
I
I
would
mean,
oh yeah,
go
go ahead. Well, I was gonna say, before I forget, Red Rising also that's what I was trying to think of before.
I
Red
do know
Rising
that.
is reminiscent of this in a lot of ways
Yeah,
too.
that's
You read
true.
that
I
one
see
yet?
that.
I didn't read the whole saga, but I just read like the first book.
Yeah.
It was good. It was definitely the similar, like, you know, people groups and one people group. Alicia's like, no. Well, I didn't like high score it or anything. I think I gave it a 3. But I think what was difficult about Red Rising is that it just didn't have enough. It's YA and it just didn't have enough going on.
I did
It's
not. like
YA?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
it.
It's
Yvette, I think you would like it.
I'm going to read it, yeah.
They say it's like Hunger Games in space.
Yeah, interesting. I love it.
I was too confused, so that means you'll probably understand it.
I will, yeah. Okay, I would actually say no. It's maybe like more like Dune than Hunger Games.
Oh my gosh, if I could say anything, the one book, Dune, I could never read that. I loved the movie. I can't imagine trying to understand reading in a book. Like trying to envision the worm, like I wouldn't be able to put that together.
I feel like that would be easier for me than all this chemistry stuff.
Yeah, I think that well, I mean, since I've seen the worm in a picture,
Yeah.
I feel like it would be difficult now.
Maybe since I've seen the movie, it wouldn't be as bad now.
I think it's really interesting though that like people didn't like Akatar in the first book, gets attacked by a worm, and people are kind of like, okay, big deal, like a worm. And then Dune came out, and they're like, oh, it's like that thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
I think we should just all band together and ask all like fantasy book authors, like, if you're describing a creature, could you also include a depiction of how you think it should look?
Yeah, give me a drawing.
Just one, it doesn't have to be elaborate, but like just a sketch of like, what do you imagine when you're typing it out?
Way of Kings comes with photos.
What?
It's amazing.
Why didn't you provide that in Mistborn?
Maybe we don't have the right copy.
What would we need it for in Mistborn? Like, here's a brick of metal, but like it has pictures throughout, and it's so helpful.
I mean, I personally would have liked to have seen the Mist Wraith as a horse human hybrid.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just kind of feel like it would have been, I would like some visuals in the future. Brandon Sanderson, if you ever watch this, please provide visuals.
You did in this one.
You can find them in all books.
On all books.
In hard copy.
I want to see a Mistwrath. The moral of the story.
Yeah, this one has it. It's really great. It's very helpful. But you are not supposed to look at them ahead of time because sometimes it can be a spoiler.
Yes, that's true. Man, I will never forget the day that I was in Barnes and Noble and I opened up a coloring book that was, I think it was Throne of Glass, and got something spoiled for me.
Oh no.
Careful with those coloring books.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's been I got Iron Flame spoiled for me. I was really upset.
Who spoiled that for you?
Haven't read it yet.
I was on a group. It was that Facebook fantasy group, and everybody was talking about it. And I was like,
I kind of vaguely remember.
Anyway,
well, somebody spoiled. What's that?
Moral of the story is read popular books really quickly.
Yes, true.
I luckily haven't been spoiled yet, but I do need to read Iron Flame because I have the next one as well.
You
are.
It's the best.
What happened?
Also, Leah has not finished Throne of Glass.
How far are you, Leah?
I know. I'm like,
she's stuck on Air of Fire, which I did think that was the most boring.
I thought the first one was the most boring, to be honest. But
I mean, honestly, it probably is. Air of Fire has more going on than the first one.
Yeah,
but I don't know why. There's a character that's introduced when she goes to the other town that's like part Fae or is Fae, and I'm just like, I don't care about you. Go away.
That's what my problem was.
Oh, really?
I just didn't care about that storyline.
Oh yeah.
So I have tried. I don't have the physical book, so I've tried to audiobook it, and every single time it's like lapsed, or I've fallen asleep listening to it, and then I just lose like 3 hours of it.
Oh no. You need to turn on a timer so that it doesn't go too far past.
But I do have it right now from Libby, and so I need to just power through.
Yeah, that was probably. I'm gonna try and do a post of my favorite books of the year, and
on YouTube.
No.
Well, I can on your new YouTube channel.
On a new YouTube channel. I do have 20 followers on YouTube.
I know you have the crowd.
Like, you don't understand. Nothing's happening right now.
I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the book choice for February. It's historical fiction. Some of you may have read it. I am picking a lot of backlists when I choose books, but it is The Giver of Stars.
I have that.
I know. And I've heard nothing but good things about this book. And the 2 hosts that I have specifically wanted to read this book, which would be Bethany and Elise.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm very excited to get to read this. And like I said, it'll start in February.
That author. So that'll be nice.
Everyone has loved that book, and a lot of people who don't really read historical fiction. I don't think Hannah typically reads it, and that's one of her favorite books.
Awesome.
That's the average. That's
great. That's actually what Hannah.
I was like, not sure what I was going to pick, and Bethany's like, "Well, have you read this?" I'm like, "No, but I've heard so many people talk about it." So, anyways, I'm excited. But thank you guys for hosting and joining me on my first discussion. And thank you everybody for joining in the comments. I'm glad the majority loved it.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.